morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are joining us from. It's Saturday, 19th of March, 2022. We're glad you can join us. Can I hear people say something? Unmute yourself. Tell us where you're joining from, if possible.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm
Good
joining
afternoon.
from Atlanta.
Thank you. Anybody else want to tell us where they're joining from?
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Joining from Canada.
Thank you, Tom and Joe. We're glad you can join us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eukaria. I'm joining from Nottingham in UK.
Thank you, Eukaria. We're glad you could join us.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ron Kelko, joining from Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you, Atlanta, my home people.
Yay!
Thank you for joining. Yay! Thank you for joining.
You're welcome.
So today, again, it's Saturday, March 19, 2022. Our webinar is titled Intentional Parenting. I'll run through the agenda real quick and we can get started. So we'll talk about who we are and what we do. Then there'll be a short poll just to, jumpstart the session, and then we'll have the presentation. And then during the presentation, please feel free to engage in the chat room. We always like for people to post comments, ask questions, and all of that. Give us your own opinion. Maybe you don't agree with what the presenter is saying. We are absolutely open to you, putting your own opinion there in the chat, and we would engage with you. And then we'll also have a dedicated question time when you can also now ask direct questions. And then there's something new. We're going to have games. We're going to have, the game is just about 2 minutes on Kahoot, and we have a prize. Can we flash that prize? We have our custom t-shirt made for parents like you. That t-shirt says, I'm a VIP, very involved parent. And the winner of the Kahoot game gets that t-shirt. We will ship it to you, whether you're in Canada or in the UK, we will ship that. Well, if you're in the UK, I don't know about that. That might be a little bit expensive, but if you're in the North America, anywhere in North America, we will ship it to you. We would get your information at the end. So that's something to be excited about. That t-shirt is about $35 a piece. So we're glad to give that out to the winner of our game. And so if we are set, I'm set. Let's get started. So who are we? Parenting Resources and Initiative is a faith-based, non-denominational organization committed to helping parents fulfill their God-given role of raising well-rounded children. We enable thriving families with excellent parent-child communication in a conducive environment where a child's potentials are maximized. We encourage, support, and provide resources for parents to raise children who will be spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally sound. So, what is intentional parenting? I'm going to look at the 2 words, that are there, and then we'll look at each one of them and how, we can, become intentional parents. So the first word, the parenting part of it says parenting is the process of promoting and supporting the physical, emotional, social, and intellectual development of a child from infancy to adulthood. And when you look at that, it suggests that you're raising a child, you're nurturing them, you're guiding them. Of course, you're going to protect and care for them, to ensure a healthy development. You're also going to be advocating for them, you advocate with the school, when they do extracurricular activities, you let the people they are with know that this is what my child needs, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the fantastic one, yeah, the nurse, the teacher, the cook, the cleaner, the driver, the counselor, all in one. Woohoo! Who loves that? But that is what we all do, so that's our expectation as, as parents. And then being intentional means that you're approaching something important to you with some level of consciousness, seriousness, you're committed, you're focused, while having some end goals in mind. So if we put these two together, it means that we're, as parents, as intentional parents, we're going to be deliberate, we're going to be calculated, you're going to be planning stuff, being purposeful. You're not going to be quick fixing anything, and you're not going to be winging it. Like some people say, let's just wing it. We wing it until we get there. No, there's no room for winging it. Well, you may wing it for a while, but after some time, you realize that winging it is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. What are you going to do? So that's where we need to know, okay, what do I do? Can I get help? Where can I get help? And we're glad to let you know that none of us here claim to be perfect parents. We're not perfect. We're absolutely not perfect. But we are people who have made our own mistakes. We've, related with other parents. We've found that this works, this doesn't work. And based on that, we're able to share with you what we find out that, we can absolutely tell you that this works. Does that mean that you're going to be 100% perfect parent? No, we're still going to make mistakes along the line, So I think I'm already, jumping ahead of myself. So let's go to the, how do we, do this? Of course, we all know that children don't arrive with a how to raise me manual. And what do? What have people just done throughout the generations? We find out that we rely on our parents' ideas or guidelines. Oh, this was what my parent did. My parent raised me this way. Or I have older friends. So we rely on older friends who are raising their children, and we tap into their ideas. Or we just coast along. What will be, will be. The problem is that when we rely on our parents' ideas or we rely on older friends, it may not always work. Because one, their child is different from your child. Number two, their family situation may be different from your own family. Your child's personality is definitely different from their own child's personality. So that may not be the perfect blueprint for you to use in raising your own child. And then if you are just coasting along, it means you are being reactive versus proactive. You are being impulsive versus, reflecting on things. So it means that you're just going to, if something happens today, I fix that. If something happens tomorrow, I fix that. You don't have anything planned. You're not working with, you don't have a plan. That's basically what it means. Can we really afford to raise our children that way? No plan, no guidance, no rules. No, that's looking for disaster, waiting for disaster to happen. And we definitely don't want that. So the funny thing is that, like somebody said to me, but well, many of us were raised this way and thankfully it turned out well. Yeah, I said to her, supposedly we turned out well. But looking back, we all, and I mean, when we had that conversation, there were three of us there, we all agreed that we turned well, but we had a lot of trauma. We had a lot of trauma imposed on us. Some of us, your parents beat the daylight out of you. Every little thing you did, they beat you. Every little thing you did, they shouted at you, they screamed at you, they yelled at you. And then you grow up into an adult who is kind of, like you're walking on eggshells around people. Or every time that shouting and screaming and yelling plays back in your head. Some of us, we were told that, don't speak except you are spoken to in Nigeria, right? Oh, when adults are speaking, a child should not speak. And then we now come here, and then your teacher says, because you're not speaking in class, it means you're not contributing, and it means you're not doing well. And then they are raising people, they are scoring people based on their performance in class, based on their contribution in class. And then you get a message from your child's teacher that says your child does not participate in class. Why? Because that child, you have always told that child, don't talk. Don't talk. If I'm not talking to you, don't talk. If I'm not doing this, don't do that. Because you have brought that, you had that imposed on you. And unfortunately, you're imposing it on your child. You're turning them into robots. People who don't speak until they are spoken, to. Even if there's something bothering them, my mommy said I shouldn't speak if I'm not spoken to. My mommy said when two adults are speaking, I shouldn't speak. Or the other way around, you've been used to being shouted at all your life. And you just automatically transmit that to your own child. So you are constantly shouting. The only way you know to communicate is to shout. And they term that as aggression, and then they withdraw from you. And you think we all turned out perfectly well? I'll say, let's think again. Let's think again. So let's pause here and take one or two questions and reflect. And I welcome anyone who wants to share. Let's look back. How many of us can look back and wish, or we look back, or we've looked back and we wish our parents had done something better or something different in one area of our lives or another? I'll pause, and let's see if anybody wants to jump in. If you are free to unmute yourself and contribute, if you want to. Have you looked back at some point and said, oh, I wish my parents didn't do this. I wish my parents didn't do that. Anybody? Shall I call names? Anybody wants to share with us what they look back and wish their parents had done differently? My people, speak now. I know very, very vocal people that I'm seeing their faces here or their pictures here. Let's share. Nobody has the master sheet. Let's share, please. Did somebody unmute?
Overall, hi everyone, my name is Oriofe. Overall, I am grateful for the parenting that I experienced. However, maybe more a greater degree of balance. So instead of like heavy spiritual activities in church, maybe some more extracurricular activities, learning how to, play a musical instrument, something like that. And also maybe more financial training versus giving pocket money and things like that. Maybe learning about stocks and investments, and that would have been good.
Great, thank you for sharing, Oriofe. So you wish that instead of going to church all the time, you had more time to do some other extracurricular activity. That's something, very interesting. Anybody else?
I think this is very similar, but certainly more conversation on life issues and things that we confronted that you didn't know until you bumped into it. But just talking about different things, just like things that may be specific to women, the mother may have talked to us a little more about certain things, or the dad probably could have talked to us a little more about, how we should be treated with our husbands and boyfriends, or just things like that. I think a little more communication, but very similar, as Ms. Oriofe said, certainly on those other aspects as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gaines. It's like you stole my notes, or you stole a part of my note. Would come, and it's very, very important. More open communication with our children. More open communication would definitely, some of us look up and say, oh, my mother never told me that. My mother never said that to me. Or my father never said that to me. I remember my son said something to me that I didn't say to him about a part of our culture. Well, not a part of our culture, something that happened. He told me, oh, mommy, you never told me that there was something called a particular war, with a particular tribe. How come you never told me? And I said, well, because you came here at age 5, I didn't realize that you would want to know about some war that happened before even I was born. But he was like, yeah, but that's a part of my culture, not a part of my history. I wish you had told me about that and not have found out at, in school, you know, that kind of thing. So that's absolutely true, more communication. Anybody else wants to share?
All right, let me go and start working on notes because Dr. Vicky is going to help me on the floor today.
So quick question.
So I have quite a few new ones.
Dr. Joke, are you contributing? I'm not sure if you're contributing or if you are inadvertently if you've inadvertently unmuted yourself. Okay. Next person. I know somebody said.
Let's ask a quick question. So how interactive do you want this session to be? Do you want us to ask questions as we go along, or would you rather we wait till the end?
If there are some questions built into this, and I will pause and take questions. Other questions you can put in the chat and we would engage with you. And then, like I said at the beginning, we would also have a dedicated time for questions. So I put this in here because I wanted to pause here and just, get people's opinion. So I'm going to move on. Something that somebody said to me, let me share with you. Their daughter said to them, because this person is an they're no longer young adults, they're in their 30s and not yet married. And then one day during their conversation, they were like, Mommy, you African parents, especially you Nigerians, when we are growing up, you should stop all this nonsense about no dating, no dating, no dating. Because now you're putting us into this situation where we're in our late 20s and our early 30s and we're not married. And then you're putting pressure on us to go and bring a husband. Bring a husband from where? High school, you told us don't date. College, you told us don't date. But as soon as we're out of college, you want a husband. From where? All of the good people have been taken. Mom, wake up, tell your friends. This is a real life conversation. And the mom called me and said, okay, you people should start changing what you say to your child, instead of just telling them no dating in high school, no dating in college, no dating. And then as soon as they finish college, we start pressurizing them. And I sat down and I said, wow, that's so true, So going back to what, we're talking about, we're looking at things that we can do better, do differently. We're not saying break the rules. We're not saying throw out everything that our parents did for us, but we are saying in some areas we can do better. In some areas we can do something different, especially for as many of us as have come into a different culture. And I totally get it with that young, again, I don't know if I should keep saying she's she's an adult, a full-fledged adult. She feels that whatever training we African parents have given or instructions we have given is what is landing some of them in a situation where nobody is even looking their way. All the good people they would have dated and married are gone because we kept telling them don't date, don't date. So maybe instead of saying don't date, maybe we should say date with certain guidelines. You can start dating at so time and things like that. So but that's one way where we can reflect and look back and see that, oh, maybe we need to do differently. Just taking our parents' ideas or taking older friends' ideas may not always work. It may not work because your child is different. It may not work if you're in a different culture, So that's that. So now ask yourself, and I don't expect an answer for this. Am I just managing from day to day, or do I really know what I'm doing with my child? Do I have a plan for my child, or am I just quick fixing or firefighting? I'm reacting to how they behave, but I've not really guided or molded their behavior. I'm just reacting to things. Oh, she did this. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. Sit down there. And that's the reactive thing. That is not going to work. That is not going to work. We definitely need a plan. We need a plan for our careers. Many of us, when you're in your career, maybe in your company, you at the beginning of the year, you have performance goals that is set for you. And maybe the first half of the year, you revisit that and you see, okay, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. And you are measured. And by the end of the year, you assess performance assessment. So if your companies think you need a plan for your career, and maybe you yourself need a plan you have a plan for your career. You're thinking that, okay, by age 45, this is where I should be. By age 50, I should have this, I should have that. By 60, I should be getting ready to retire. And if that plan, it's important for you to have a plan for your career. Why don't we think it's important to have a plan for the lives of the children that we bring into this world? Don't forget, they didn't ask to be brought here. We brought them here. What are we doing with them? What do we plan to do with them? How do we plan to guide them? All this comes to, we need a plan. We need to be intentional. We need to have goals. You know, remember when we defined intentional, it says being focused about something and having an end goal in mind. What is the end goal that you have in mind for your child? Let's move on. So becoming intentional, an intentional parent can be challenging, but it is possible. It means that we have a plan and we are disciplined enough to commit to follow through with the plan. Of course, as our children grow older or as circumstances in our families change, we might need to tweak the plan. Like for instance, you may have a plan for when your child is in the elementary school. By the time they enter into middle school, there are certain aspects of the plan that you might change, or some modalities or some methods, but you still have a plan. Along the way, you have something guiding you, you know, all through until they become old enough to leave your care, you know. And even after they have left your care, after college, maybe they've started as early professionals, there's still some measure of guidance that you still provide based on the end goal that you have in mind. So we definitely need a plan as a parent. We need a plan. So let's go on. Number one, so I'm going to share a couple of steps about becoming an intentional parent. And the steps or the list is not in any way exhaustive. Again, like I said, we are all here sharing with one another. Some of us get together and we share, you know, what have we done, what is working, what is not, what has not worked. And that's what we are, passing across. But again, like we said, we have the chat room is open. And if at any point you want to raise your hand, you know, you can use the emoticons there to raise your hand to indicate that you want to contribute something. We will be glad. So number one is to understand your role in the life of your child. What is your role? You and your child are very important. You are important to your child. Your voice matters. You cannot allow external voices to drown out your child. You cannot allow external voices to drown out your child. There's a lot going on social media, on internet, on TVs, many, many voices that are out there. But the only time those voices would drown you out is when you ship out, when you become absent. You may be present physically, but you're absent because you're not involved. You're not doing anything. Yes, you are providing a roof over their heads. You're giving them food, but you're not doing more than that. You're not involved. You're not actively involved in their lives. You cannot allow that to happen. You need to know that you're important to your child. You're probably the most important influence in your child's life, for good or for bad, because they spend a greater part of their lives with you. They spend, we may say once they start going to school, maybe they spend more time in school. But one singular person, in school, they relate with many teachers. But if there's one singular person that they get to spend time with more than any single person. Now, we can say an aggregate of people in school. Yes, they spend maybe 8 hours in school or 7 hours in school. But when it comes to interacting with one singular person, you are that person that they interact with the most. So you have to understand, if somebody is constantly spending time with you, what are you putting into their lives? Now, when I say your voice matters, I don't mean raising your voice at them, shouting at them. No, it means speaking into their lives. What are you speaking into their lives? What are they learning from what you are doing? Because like people say, and we all say it, you know, what you do is more important than what you say. Like they say, monkey see, monkey do, right? It's not monkey say, it's monkey see, monkey do. What they see you do is what they will do. So what are you putting into their lives? What are you speaking into their lives? What values are they seeing you project? The third thing is that you have to influence them without being overbearing. When we say influence, we are not saying make all the decisions for them. We're saying guide them, help them, provide values for them, provide templates for them to go through life. Don't leave them to, do whatever appeals to their senses. Be an influence on them, but don't be overbearing. Don't leave them to become robots. That's what we're saying. Don't leave them to become robots. And Psalm 127 verse 4, for those of us who are Christians, says, as arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. And of course, if you know an arrow, before you start to shoot an arrow, you practice. You practice and practice and practice, And then at some point, you're ready to use the arrow. When you're using the arrow, you are focused, you are precise. You don't shoot arrow any which way. So why do you want to treat the life of your child any which way? Why do you want to leave the life of your child to chances? And we are not saying that you have to have everything planned to the last dot, but we're saying have a guide, have a plan. The plan may evolve. The guide may be tweaked, it may be adjusted, but have a plan, have specifics. What am I doing with them? Number 2 is defining your priorities. Defining your priorities. What are your priorities? What is important to you? Do your children understand what is important to you? Now, what is important to you is going to affect the kind of decisions that you make and how you make those decisions. What are the values that you are sharing with your children? Are you sharing with them that, honesty is important to you? Do they see from your lifestyle that integrity is important? Do they see from your life that you're compassionate? Do they see kindness? Do they see you demonstrating, kindness? Do they see you lending a helping hand to other people? What are the priorities you're defining to your child by the way you live? What importance, where do you even place your family? Okay, I have a list of things here, your relationship with God or your faith, whichever God you believe in. If you're married, your marriage, or maybe, you're not married, but you have people in your community that are your village. Then the family itself, you and your children, or you and that child. Then your career and your business, your church activities, your community, your friends, your neighbors. How important is your child in the context of all these other relationships, if I can call them relationships or activities that demand your attention? Where does your child fit in? Is your child more important than your church activities? And I apologize, I understand I have a lot of pastors on this forum. Many of them are my friends or my mentors. I actually have my parish pastor here. So I'm not trying to cause trouble, but it does not make sense. If you have, you are staying 24/7 in church, you're an usher, you're a chorister, you do this and you do that, but you are never there for your child. Other things can be done. Other people can do other things in church. Who is going to take care of your child? On another note, when your children are still very young, they require more attention than when they're older or they're already in college. You cannot say what somebody like me, who is an empty nester, is doing is what you're going to be doing. I don't have all the time in the world. I don't want somebody to come and say, oh, but you did tell us that you have all the time in the world. I don't have all the time in the world, but I have more time now than when my kids were in elementary or middle school. I have more time now, so I can do 5 activities in church. And it's not in any way affecting my children because they don't even live with me anymore. So we have to balance things. Where is your child in all of these gamut of responsibilities? Of course, we have commitment to our churches. I have commitment to my church. I drive 1 hour plus to get there every Sunday. I have commitment to my community. I volunteer in my neighborhood and all of that. I have friends that I commit to, but my child is not going to be on the receiving end of those other commitments. My child is not going to suffer as a result of my commitment to all those other things. My career does not have to be, more important, should not be more important than my child. And of course, we all have a time where we're building our career, we're struggling and all of that. There has to be a balance. I'm not saying drop the ball on your team. Maybe your team commits something into your hands and then every now and then you drop it because, oh, my child is sick. Oh, no, that's not what I'm talking about. There has to be a balance. That's what I'm saying. Your child cannot be at the bottom of that list. Your child cannot be at the bottom of that list. You have to make your family a priority. And your family situation now determines what kind of decisions you make and how. Somebody can decide, and we said this on one of our maybe webinars last year, somebody can decide to take a traveling position because their children are no longer at home or the children are old enough to take care of themselves. But when your child is still very young or the children are still very young and you are traveling 75% of the time, because that's how I can get ahead. That's how I can get promoted. Excuse me, you might be setting up yourself for a disaster. You might be setting up yourself for something that you regret later in life. I pray that is not your situation. I pray you don't do that to yourself or do that to your child. The next step is defining the big picture for yourself. Remember when we did the definition, we said that you have to have an end goal in mind. And having an end goal in mind doesn't mean that you plan everything for your child. You have to let them make their own decisions. But we can ask ourselves, where do I see my child? But maybe by age 16 or by age 18 or by age 21, in your mind's eye, where do you see your child? And what do you want to see in them? What do you need to do to help them get there? For example, part of the big picture might be, I want my child to be a person that is confident in their own skin. I want my child to be somebody who is absolutely, who can speak up for themselves, who knows what they want in life and they are pursuing it. Confidence, very important. Another part of the big picture might be, I want my child to be a person of character, solid character, honest, dependable, reliable, will do what they say they will do. Character is important. I want my child to be a person of personal conviction about their faith, conviction about their values in life, and let's go by the values that you laid down for them when they were growing up. You have to think of all of that. I want to be my child to be a person of compassion. Have I showed compassion? As my child seen me showing compassion for other people? I want my child to be competent, to have life skills that they can use in life as they grow up. What does that look like for you? It depends. Maybe I want my child, like Oriofe said, I want my child to be able to have financial literacy. I want my child to be able to balance budget, their checkbook. I want my child to understand, how to save money, make investment. All of that, that's part of competency. And then the last but not the least, what is your big picture concerning their academics, their vocational skills, their career? Where do you see them going? And by this, I don't mean that you choose a career for them or choose a major for them and insist that, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, I'm talking of guiding them. For instance, I'm big on college and all of that. But in recent years, I've worked with some kids and I've realized that not every child will go to college, or not every child should go to college. You know your child. If you have been looking at your child and paying attention to them, and you're seeing that there's something they like to do something with their hands. They like to draw, they like to carve things, they like to bake. You might start steering them in the area of vocational skills. Yes, go to college if they want to, but encourage them to develop those skills. And for instance, I've had 2 children in the last 3 years that I've worked with, and they wanted to go to pilot school. They wanted to become pilots. And their parents spoke with me, and I realized that, okay, we looked at all the college offerings that they had. None of the colleges that they were interested in offered any good training to become a pilot. They would take them through all of these 4 years that didn't make sense to them, right? And then they would still now have to go to pilot school and pay about $16,000. So, contrary to what I would say was my original whatever, I had to sit down and say, hey, you're right. I think we should look at this. And then we now looked at what are the pilot schools that are available? What are they offering? What is in it for them? And eventually that's what two of them did. They enrolled straight into a pilot school right after graduating high school. And they stayed on that, but it was still going to be 3 years, but they didn't have to go and spend 4 years doing just all the general courses. And then now come back again for another 3 years in the pilot school. So you have to understand your child enough to be able to guide them in the academics, guide them towards a vocational skill, if that is their area of strength, or guide them towards a career. What is the big picture? You know, what do you know enough of your child to be able to guide them in that direction, and not just say, you have to study engineering. No, everybody in our family studied engineering. Everybody in our family has a master's. Everybody in our family has a doctorate. No, that's not it. It is not our place to foster or to impose our opinions on their career or their academics or whatever. We are supposed to guide them. But we only can guide them to the extent that we even know them or understand them. And if you now know them and understand them, and this is what big picture you're seeing in your mind's eye, what are you doing to help them get there? What are you doing to help them achieve those things? What are you doing to help them become a person of character? Again, are you a person of character yourself? Are they seeing the right examples in you? Number 4, create a safe and peaceful home and atmosphere. Create a peaceful home atmosphere and be present. The home is where kids learn that they need to deal with this, what they need to deal with the society. It is difficult to learn in a chaotic environment. If your house is always, there's always noise, it's always a place for everybody to gather, and there's nothing wrong with having guests and people gathering in your house. But I remember the story of a girl. She told me that one time, they always have visitors and guests, people that come and go, or people that stay a week and go, or people that stay. And then the house is just not conducive. And every now and then when she wants to study, she would go and hide in the basement. But the daddy considers the basement his man cave. So the moment he spots her heading there or sees her there, he starts yelling and screaming at her to get out of the place, go and study. And she says, I'm studying, I'm trying to study. It's so busy and noisy upstairs. But the daddy didn't get it. He preferred his man cave than creating a peaceful atmosphere for the child. Let your home be peaceful. Let there be no chaos. And part of no chaos is that you set the right expectations. We have rules. What time do we do this? What time do we do that? We define our chores. Who is doing what chores? What time do we do the chores? When we get back from school, what time, what do we do first? Do we get quick snacks while we are waiting for dinner to be made? Who is going to help with dinner? Those are the kind of things we should be thinking of. Like, let your home be a place where love is practiced, where love is given, where love is accepted. Let the child feel that, oh, this is my safe haven. I can be myself here. I know that I'm loved in this house. No matter what happens, even when I mess up, I'm still loved. Are we saying they should mess up because of that? No, but it means that they know that they can always come back. That your home is safe enough for them to tell you the truth. You provide that safe atmosphere, that safe environment where even if your child messes up big time outside, they can come home and tell you the truth. Not that they will say, oh, they will just kill me. My mother and my father will just kill me. And some of them really believe it, that they will kill you, even though we say, oh, we really won't kill them. Now we just say that to scare them. But some of them really believe that you will kill them. And God forbid, some of them will say, I'd rather do it myself. I don't want to bring shame to my family. So if I don't measure up, I'm just going to just end it myself. God forbid. So let us understand that our home needs to be a place, a safe haven. You find out that the government is opening safe haven or safe places all over the place. Why does the government need to open up safe places? Because some families are not safe. Some homes are not safe. So the government is giving the children an alternative place to go to. Why should that be? Our home should be the first safe haven that they know. So let your home be a place where everyone feels loved and feels free to express themselves without judgment, while also learning to respect other people's opinions. I've said it, let's set the right expectations. Now, your children would rather have your presence than your presence. Many of us think, oh, okay, once I provide a good house, good meal, decent clothing, and buy this toy or this device for them, that's good enough. And then we can be gone and it doesn't matter. And when we come back, oh, don't disturb me, I'm tired. Don't you know I've been working all day? Don't I deserve some rest? No. To tell you the truth, from my working with many children, many teenagers and young adults, they'll rather have you present and manage what, I know you're doing all of this so that you can give them a better life. But when push comes to shove, they would rather have what they, whatever you're able to give them and manage with it, but have you present in their lives. They want you to go to that game with them. They want you to go to that extracurriculum with them, extracurriculum activity with them. They want you to go with them to that event in school. Parents, please, let's be present. We need to be present. Another thing I would like to say here is that don't let your child be the one receiving a no every time you say yes to something or someone. Like some of us, we are quick to say yes to everything and everyone. And who suffers it? Your child. Your child is always the sacrificial goat. You take up another commitment in church, it's your child that is sacrificed for it. You volunteer at work to take some extra hours. It's your child that is suffering it, That shouldn't be. Your child should not be the sacrificial goat for your other commitments. Communication, it's very important. And this, that's why I said Ms. Gaines probably looked into my notes, Communication is big. And for me, I think if you get communication right, you would almost always be okay with the other things. Let's have open channels. Let your child feel free to talk with you. Let them feel free to discuss with you. Let them feel free to ask you the uncomfortable questions. If something is uncomfortable, who else should they ask other than their parents? Let your child be able to, feel that they can open up their heart and even ask you something stupid, Let our channels of communication be open at home. Let's keep talking with them and not talking at them. We keep saying this over and over again at almost all of our webinars. Let's not talk at them. Let's talk with them. Talk with them, engage them, understand them, listen to understand them, not to counter them. For instance, your child has a different opinion from you. Maybe you said something and your child says, no, mommy, I don't believe that. You're not going to go, no, how dare you? No, you will lose that child. Listen to understand them, not to counter them. Let them know that they're entitled to their own opinion, and please respect their opinion. Even when you disagree with what they have said, explain to them that, okay, you are, entitled to your own opinion, but in this case, I disagree, and this and this and this is why I disagree. Maybe based on our family values, or based on, our faith, or based on our relationship with God, based on what, our Bible says. I don't agree with that opinion. I don't believe that this is, but please don't shut them down. If you shut them down, you will lose them gradually. And gradually they will tune you out. They will tune you out. All you will get from them is monosyllables. Yes, no, yes, no. That's all you will get from them. Because they realize you are not listening. So they have also learned to do what? They'll tune you out. Like they say, do me, I do you. If you're not going to listen to me, I'm not going to listen to you either. I may be standing there looking at you. And then when you finish saying all the things you want to say, they shrug their shoulder and they walk away. I'm sure that's not what we want. And this especially becomes important as they grow older and they don't even need anything from us. You find out that they will not call you. You'll be chasing them with your phone. They will not include you or involve you in any decision making in their lives. Is that really what you want to do? Because you insist in being, somebody insensitive, somebody that they cannot have a meaningful conversation with. I remember asking, we were having a discussion in my youth group, and then I said, if this happens, who would you talk with? And I mentioned parent, this. And almost simultaneously, they all said, parents, never. That was the chorus answer I got, as if they had had a rehearsal. They said, parents, never. What are you thinking, Ms. Bola? What are you saying? Parents, our parents, never. And my heart sank because I just said to myself, oh my God, these parents have lost these kids. And these are early college. They are year 1, year 2 in college. And they already said never. That's not what we want for our children. We want the conversation, the communication channels to continuously be open. Depending on their age, please, let's include them in decision making. Let's include them in decision making. Don't force things down their throat. It's absolutely important that we engage them, that we include them in decision making. Number 6, love, affirmation, encouragement. Love, affirmation, encouragement. Love, 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 love your child and express it. Understand your child's love language. Understand your child's love language. And some kids love to just be hugged. Some of them love to be patted. Some of them love the thumbs up. Some of them love little. Of course, everybody loves gifts, but some of them, they just want to cuddle up with you. They just want to, be around you, touchy, like they say, touchy. Some of them are touchy. So just touching them and giving them a pat on their back or something, some of them is that knowing look and smile. It makes their day. What is it for your child? You need to find out. Find out your child's love language and constantly express love to them. I know that some children may be difficult. They may be children that we are really trusting God for. And we may say, oh, there's nothing for me, to affirm, but that's not true. You can always find something positive, even in the most difficult person. You can always find something positive to acknowledge and affirm in their lives. Let's make it a conscious effort to find something positive in our child, to express it, show them kindness, even when they've been bad and they deserve punishment. Show them some kindness, show them some grace. After all, Jesus Christ showed you kindness, showed you grace by not throwing you out. Let's show that measure of grace and kindness to our children. There's no child that cannot be redeemed. It takes love, constant expression of love, constant expression of, I can find something good in you. You can do this. You are able to do this. I'm going to support you. I'm going to stand with you through thick and thin. And expressing it. Don't assume that they know, they know I love them. No, they want to hear it. They want to hear it from you. They want to see. Some of us as wives will say, my husband says I should know that he loves me, but I want you to express it. I want him to express. It's the same thing with our children. They want us to express it. Let your child know. Let them hear it from you. Don't let them only hear your voice when they have done something bad. Let them hear your voice when they're doing well. And even if it takes you to really dig to find that one good thing that they are good at, please find it. Please find it and, be their greatest cheerleader. Oh, you may not do this, but you this one thing, you are the best at it. Cheer them. Be their greatest cheerleader. And let's avoid creating approval addicts. You may say that sounds counterintuitive to what I've just said, but no. What I mean by that is don't let your love be performance-based. Don't let your love be performance-based. Make sure that you show love when they are passing or when they are failing. Let them be sure that they know that you love them, even when they don't make that grade, even when they don't score an A. Let them be sure that they know, express it to them. Okay, this semester's grades were not very good and all of that, but we can work on it. We can improve. That's not the time you start raining all kinds of things on them. Please don't use harsh words or thoughtless words on your child. Affirm them, express positivity, and don't encourage them. Don't create approval addicts. Your love should not be performance-based. I see a question here. I think I'll wait and take that after, because I'm almost wrapping up. So let me just wrap up and I'll take the questions from the chat. One last thing on that love and affirmation, please do not show your preference for one child. And I know it's tough. I know it's hard. Sometimes it's just easier to love one child than the other one. But as parents, as the adults that we are, we must not do that. If you are a Christian and you read your Bible, if you know the story of Joseph, his father showed that he loved him more than his siblings. He even made a special coat for him. And see what that cost for Joseph, because his siblings ganged up against him. They sold him out to slavery, and he went through horror. We don't want to do that to our children. Don't make it so obvious. Don't even make it obvious at all that you love one child more than the other. In our days, they will say, oh, it causes sibling rivalry. Now it causes more than sibling rivalry. Now it causes depression, and it might lead some child to contemplate suicide. I pray that will not happen in our homes, but we have to be sure we are not creating a situation where we are obviously showing that we love one child more than another, and the other kids feel bad, or especially if there are just two of them, it's easy to have the other one feel like, oh, maybe I'm not wanted here. Maybe this is not a place for me. My parents only love this one child. They don't care about me. They don't care what happens to my life. They don't care what I make of my life. Parents, let's not fall into that trap. Let's not fall into that trap. And last but not the least, which is very important, it just happens to be last here, creating boundaries. Let's create boundaries. When we create boundaries for our children, it helps them. It's like putting guardrails. Like when you see guardrails on the highways, it's supposed to help keep the cars. Between those guardrails, you can be on lane 1, you can be on lane 2, you can be on lane 3. But the guardrails are there to keep you from going to the extreme and fall into the ditch, or go to this other extreme and fall into the ditch. As parents, we need to set boundaries for our children. And number 2, we need to associate boundaries with consequences. We should have age-appropriate expectations. Okay, when do we do homework? How many hours can I spend on my screen? Playing games or surfing the net and all of that. What are the boundaries? You have to define those boundaries based on their age, based on where they are in life, and all of that. You also have to be very clear on consequences. If you set a boundary, you also must set the consequences for overstepping that boundary. Let your child know that this boundary is there. If you overstep this boundary, these are the consequences. And when you say there are consequences, I want to encourage you, if a child oversteps the boundary, please ensure that the consequences kick in. If you don't enforce the consequences along with overstepping a boundary, they will say, oh, even the mommy says she's going to do this, she's not going to do that. So if you say that if you come home late, let's say it's a child that starts driving and they have a particular time when they're supposed to come home, let there be consequences attached with if they come home beyond that time without calling you to let you know that they're going to be home late or a good reason. Maybe the consequences will be that where you don't get to drive for the next 1 week, or you don't get to do this, or you don't get to do that. And please enforce the consequence, because if you don't enforce the consequences, you're sending the wrong impression that you are a wishy-washy person who says something but does not go through with it. Finally, let's discipline through guidance, not punishment. Punishment may make us feel good in the present, oh, I exerted the full influence of my parental authority over that child. But has your child learned through that? So when we want to discipline our child, let's discipline them through guidance. Let's explain to them this boundary was put in place to help you do this, to prevent this from happening. And now, since you have, broken the boundary, overstepped the boundary, these consequences that we explained earlier has to kick in. Is it because I don't love you? No, I love you. But actions have consequences. Overstepping boundaries comes with consequences. So explain to them, guide them through even that discipline, not just sit down, shut up, don't get up. And the child is wondering, what did I do? So we have to be very careful to balance our discipline, with guidance and not just punishment. And I'm going to take some, summary points, or just go through some summary points before we come to the questions, or contributions. Number 1, as parents, you need an intentional plan that you're going to work on and that you're going to work with. If you don't know how to do it, ask around. Ask around, ask your friends who you think they're doing a good job. with their own family, and then customize it to your own family, customize it to the needs of your child. Number two, believe that you do have power to influence your child. Believe that you have power to influence your child. Like I said, you are the greatest singular influence on your child. Other people contribute a little here, a little there, but you are the greatest singular influence. You are the most powerful singular influence. Use that influence for good. Use that influence for good. Next, you are under surveillance. Your children are surveilling you, if I can use that word. You're under surveillance. They are watching you, whether what you're telling them to do is what you are doing. Whether you're doing something different from what you're telling them, they're watching you. They're watching you. I've had kids tell me that, oh, I hate to have to say this. And sometimes I've had to, like not silence them, but like steer them away from that trend of thought. When a child begins to think that my parent, my mother, my father is something at home, or is something else outside, or is something outside, or is something else at home. That's not a good thing to be playing in the head of your child. That's not a good thing to be playing in the head of your child. Be intentional in the way you live out your faith. Whatever your faith is, every faith comes with a set of values to live with. I don't know any faith that tells you to kill people, or that tells you, to be unkind and all of that. So whatever good values you have on your faith, please use that. Be intentional in living it out in front of your children. Be intentional in living it out in front of your children. Good behavior starts with you. Don't forget that good behavior starts with you. You can't be telling them to behave well and you're behaving crazy. One day I saw something that really shocked me on IG. And I don't want to comment here because I know some people here may know the person, but I was just asking myself, why would a mother put herself out here this way? And then you want to turn around and tell your 21-year-old or your 18-year-old child not to do that? No, it's not going to work. Good behavior starts with you. I'll just leave it at that. Be intentional about living in integrity. I think I've said that before. Be intentional about living in integrity. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And every now and then we all make mistakes. If you make a mistake, admit it. I apologize to my children when I make a mistake. For instance, if I falsely accuse them when they were younger and I falsely accuse them, I tell them, I'm sorry. Maybe I thought it was A that did it and it turned out it was B. I'll say, okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was this person who did it and it turned out it was the other person. Let's admit it when we are wrong. There's nothing wrong with apologizing for your child. Parents, there's nothing wrong with apologizing to your child when you are wrong. Admit it when you're wrong. Kids, I think from working with youth, one of the greatest peeves that they have is we always think we are right. And when we are wrong and we are caught being wrong, we never want to apologize. And that only tells them that we are hypocrites. We don't want to be hypocrites. We want to be people of integrity. Our yes is yes, our no is no. When we are wrong, we admit that we are wrong and we apologize. That's all I have for you. I do believe that, while this is not an exhaustive list, but if you practice these 7 steps that I shared, you'll be on your way to be an intentional parent, raising an all-round child, a child that is well balanced, that is balanced emotionally, physically, spiritually, in every way, and that turns out to be a good corporate citizen. We want our children to be good citizens of the society. That should be our goal. And I believe that if we do these things, we will be on our way to doing that. So I'm going to take the questions. I think I've seen quite a lot. I'll start with the ones I have in the chat, since we already have some in the chat, So someone said, is intentional parenting too late if our children are now young adults? My answer is no, it's never too late. You may have lost a lot of ground, but it's never too late. You may have made a lot of mistakes, and you may have even maybe traumatized the child. But again, it comes down to you calling that child and having a conversation with them. And it may not be an easy conversation to have, because as individuals, we don't like to admit that we are wrong anyway. But it will help your child even respect you more. If you call that child and say, hey, I made this decision for you or on your behalf, or I said this or I said that. That was my, that was the limit of my knowledge at that time. Now I know better. I want to do better. Can we have a do-over? Can we start afresh? Of course, you have already lost some years. Maybe they're already 21. You've already lost 21 years, but you can make up for the remaining years. So it's not too late, but you cannot just hope it will happen. You have to consciously have a conversation with that child and say, hey, I messed up. I shouldn't have done this at that time. Maybe there's even a particular situation that comes to your mind about it, or that you remember very well, or that God is putting in your heart and saying you did wrong for this child. It's never too late to call that child and say, I apologize. I would like an opportunity to make it right. Can you give me that opportunity? And please don't expect it's going to be instant, that the child is going to say, oh, yes. No, the child may say, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with you, Give them time, give them space, and keep asking for that opportunity. Keep letting them know by your changed behavior that you have actually changed, and then hope for the best going forward. That's how I would say. Does anybody else want to answer that question in a different way? The floor is open. Please contribute if you want to answer that question in another way. Is intentional parenting too late if our children are now young adults? Anybody wants to contribute something to that?
Can I say something about that?
Yes, please go ahead.
I just wanted to probably use myself as an example.
Okay.
I don't think it's ever too late. My pastor used to tell us that it's never too late to make a right when you are wrong.
And you're wrong.
Because if you head for the wrong direction, no matter how long you have gone, if you don't go the right way, you still won't get to your destination.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So at any point in time, you discover you have made a mistake. There's no lateness to going back to the right way. For instance, if I may use myself, I have adult children now, but when they were younger, when they started becoming young adults, my daughter told me one day, she said, because I had learned and I had started on my own. I didn't tell them, but on my own, between me and their father, we just decided to make a change. I didn't know that they noticed it. My daughter said to me, Mommy, you are behaving better these days. Is it because they have taught you that how did she even put it? That you should bring your children closer or something like that? Is it because they have taught you now? Now you now want us to come back to you? No, they have told you that we will not tell you things if you push us away. Is that why you are coming back to us, so that we'll start telling you things? We will not tell you anything, Jare. But my point is that even at that point, when I made that change, they noticed that I have changed. They noticed that I am no longer that shouting mother that they had. Because what they tell me is that all they remember of me in their growing up years is that woman that comes late in the night and starts shouting at everybody. And I would ask them, am I a crazy woman? If you don't do things that make me shout, I will not just come home and be shouting. Because exactly, I won't come home and be shouting. Already I'm coming from work, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and everything I say should be done is not done. So why won't I shout? But at least they noticed and they have realized. And another thing to buttress one of your points, that when you were talking about not throwing them away. even as adults, when you are beaten and battered outside, you expect to come into a relaxed and a welcoming home. Let's translate that into our children. We all know, we all have an idea. We may not know what they face outside because the world now is different from the world me and you grew up in. When they go outside, they are beaten, they are battered, they are bullied, they are traumatized. They want to come back to a home that is welcoming. They want to come back to a home that gives them succor. They want to come back to a home that loves them, that practically shows them love. So that no matter what anybody does outside, they know that there's a shelter for them. So let's create the home as a shelter. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. Thank you. Next question, please. Let me see. I'm trying to read it. So it says, how important is it for both parents to be on the same page in intentionally parenting their children? It's absolutely very important. You can't have somebody pulling north and the other person pulling south. You have to both be on the same page. And now, having said that, sometimes it's difficult, maybe because there's friction in the house, there's something going on in the house, and it's difficult. And one parent finds that they are the one that is trying to do the right thing and the other parent is not trying to do the right thing. All you have to do is make the best in that situation, make the best and just ask God for grace. But it is very, very important that both parents are on the same page. If they are not on the same page, actually, the kids, especially when they are trying to be silly, they will take advantage of it. So I want to encourage us parents to be on the same page. Sometimes you may even have to, maybe you might watch your partner doing it in one way and you don't agree. Please don't say that you don't agree in front of the children. Move back, step back and speak to that parent privately and then, hope for the best. But it's very, very important for us to be on the same page. Absolutely important for us to be on the same page. Let's see the next question. So this one says, how are we able to gauge the impact of our parenting on our children? This is a tough one. But what I say I'll give an example. Like sometimes when I say something to my son, he will say, Mommy, you have told me that 100 times. And I'll say to him, I'll say to you 100 more times until I see evidence that you have imbibed the knowledge and that you're doing the right thing. So if I have to repeat, like we will talk about, like when he was in high school, we will talk about letting people know where you're going, letting people know where you are, making sure you know the people you are going with. We've had stories of, two high school students or two college students were just riding in a car and one did not know that the other one has drugs in their car and they get stopped for just a traffic, maybe they were over speeding or something. And the other one, of course, when the police stops them, they find something else. The other child never knew. So, you have all these conversations with them. Make sure you know who you are going out with. Make sure you know where you're going. And then they say, hey, you have said that over. You have always said it. Yes, I would keep saying it until I see evidence that, you are doing what you are supposed to be doing. So I would say my ability, gauging the impact is when you see that they are doing the right thing, when you see that they are going on the right path. And as long as you still have something and there would always be something to correct. Even us as adults, we are growing, right? So there would always be something to correct, but you will see a definite mark of progress. They are constantly getting better. The same issue that you talked with them 6 weeks or 6 months ago is not the same. At least they're showing some measure of improvement over the starting point. That's how I would gauge it. Now, I know I want to throw something here. I know there's this thing about us parents thinking that if our kids don't turn out well, it means we have failed. That is absolutely not true. I pray our kids turn out well, but sometimes you do your very best, the way you know best, and sometimes they still go their own way. They still make the choices that they want to make. All you can do is pray. Don't beat yourself up on it. Don't let it be a stigma on you. Keep talking with them, keep praying with them, keep praying for them. And eventually, we pray that they will turn around and do the right thing. It may have cost them something, it may have caused a delay in their lives, but as you continue to pray and talk with them and not give up and show them love, even in the midst of it, they will do well. I see somebody is raising their hand. Please unmute yourself and contribute. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add a little to your perspective on that question. My name is Albert Tope Ojua. I'm a relationship expert here in the US. It's not all the time also, just to back what you have just said. It's not all the time that we can measure that we are making progress until the children become adults. Sometimes all you are doing in their lives, you don't really see it until when they become adults and start to practice all you have taught them. That's when you begin to say, oh, so when I was teaching all this, it was sinking in, but until they get to the point of practice. But a wise relationship expert once said, the little clue that can show you that you are making progress on what you are doing to your children is if they are complaining. If your children are grumbling, if they are complaining, you are making positive impact in their lives. If they do not like what you're saying to them, what you are compelling them to do, it's working positively in their lives. That's just the little clue that I want to ask. That I want to add to that.
Thank you so much. That's absolutely true. Most of the time, we don't get to see it until they practice those things as they become adults, Absolutely true. Thank you, sir, for the contribution. Anybody else? Any contribution? Any question? Any different opinion? Does anybody?
And add on to this, it's interesting sometimes to see adults who are unable to cook things like those basic things for themselves. And sometimes it starts out funny or something like that. But as time goes on, it no longer gets funny when you actually can't do that basic skill. And I see that with a lot, of course, more male. There are females who can cook too, but it's most common with the males. So sometimes, of course, if you're in the Western world, they're most likely going to know how to take care of themselves because we don't have abundance of house helps and things like that here. But in Nigeria, or Africa or any other setting where it's very common to have a lot of domestic help, that aspect is often neglected. And, when the adult now is dealing with the fact that they can't take care of the basic, the eating is a fundamental human need. Like when it gets to that point, it starts being awkward with dealing with partners and things of that nature. So it's important to just always keep balance in mind. There's not necessarily one thing greater than the other, but overall, it's so many things to be taught to the child while they're growing up. And it's important that those things are done in a reasonable time at a reasonable pace as they're growing up. Encourage your boys to help clean up or help sweep. No chore is for a male, no chore is for a female. All the chores are for both, for humans to be able to survive.
Absolutely. And I'm glad about that last point that you made. There's no chore that is for a girl and one choice for the boy. Let them be able to do everything. It would help them to be independent and not have to, be scurrying around when they go to college or when they even first start living on their own. Thank you so much for that contribution. Any other question? Any question, any comments, any disagreement, different opinion? Okay, if there's no other question, we'll go on to, okay, I see somebody. In a two-parent setting, what do you do when there's no agreement on how to raise the kids? Okay, again, like I said before, one parent has to reach out to the other one and try to get on the same page. But I know that sometimes it does not happen. The other parent is still not going to get on the same page. What you do is you hope that you that know, the one parent that knows the right thing to do, you do your very best. And not just with your words, but your actions. And you pray that your child will see that your actions are aligned with your words. And because they see, kids can be deceived. Even though we think, they are kids, they process things in a very smart manner. So they will see, once they're able to see that your words and your actions align, they will know who to believe. Now, because they are still kids, sometimes they will pander to the parent who lets them get away with stuff, the parent who lets them do whatever they want to do. But as they grow older, they will know, they will understand, and they will know that, okay, this is not good for me. I should have listened, or I should be listening to this parent who has the balance, because they are able to figure out where there's a balance and when there's no balance. Of course, they may take advantage of the lack of balance for a while, but over time, they would see the difference. And again, I come back to the fact that you continue to pray. You continue to pray. You continue to pray and pray for the best outcome. That's my response. Okay, somebody else is raising their hand. Please unmute and contribute.
Hi, good afternoon, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you for joining.
You're welcome. I really want to commend you for that beautiful presentation, and I apologize for coming in a little bit late. So,
thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you touched on positive reinforcement, when we reinforce our children's behavior, when they on their own initiate to do that good deed. It's very, very important for us to do that. Not only when we reprimand them and then they do it, but when they on their own, initiate that behavior and do something good, we should reinforce them. That way, they know that we recognize the fact that they did something good, and they would continue to, make efforts to continue to do good. So I just wanted to add that there.
You're absolutely, absolutely right. And I actually didn't mention that, but it's very true. Like when my kids were younger, I would say to them, if somebody does this thing, they know the things that have to be done, the things that have been shared out as chores, but there are other things, and then I will say to them, if somebody does this without being reminded or without being told to do it, I think, I don't know if it was $5 because they were in high school. Yeah, they were both in high school. So I will tell, for instance, I'll say, okay, normally they are not the ones who wash the cars at that time, but I'll say, if somebody takes the initiative and washes the car, they will get something. And then my daughter will go, okay, if somebody takes the initiative and washes the car versus somebody takes the initiative and takes out the trash on a day that's not, assigned, do they get the same amount of money, So you see where she's going with that. She wants more money for a particular initiative and want more money, for another initiative. But so it's true. We have to reinforce their good behavior, especially when they use their initiative to do something without you telling them or shouting at them. They see that something is not well placed and they place it correctly. They see that something is out of order and they put it in order. Yes, we should actually reinforce them. Positive reinforcement is a great way to teach your values. Thank you, Dr. Tonia. So next person, somebody else has their hand raised. Please unmute yourself and ask your question or make your contribution. Okay, I see another question. It says, Quite often, some parents teach their children to lie and then turn around to tell them not to lie. How can a parent undo the harm already done? It's similar to what I said before. Admit that you are wrong. There was a time when you were telling them to lie. And it can break your pride, but so be it. You have to let them know that you did wrong by telling them to lie. For instance, you're sitting at home in those days of home landlines, and somebody calls the house, and you are there sitting, and you tell your child that to tell the person that you are not at home, right? So if they now lie in class or somewhere else, and then you now tell them not to lie, but let's say after a point you realize, you're wrong. The right thing to do is to have a conversation with them about it. Don't just come from a place of, oh, I suddenly wake up, no more lying, no more lying. They'll be like, okay, when did it become wrong to lie? Mom, you've always lied to us about this or about that. They may not say that to you in your face, but they are going to give you that attitude. So the right thing I would say is admit that you are wrong, humble yourself. And I'm not saying this that it's easy. It's not easy. Because parents, we think we are all that, and we are all that, after all, we brought them. But then it would help us to actually show them the right way when we admit that we've done something wrong and we now want to lay down the right path to do it. If you don't know, it increases their respect level for you by 1,000%, if not more, because you're telling them that you're human. You're telling them that, yes, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord and He will lift you up. Yes, you're telling them that you can be wrong, but you have realized that you're wrong and you want to make amends. And He would also tell them that that's the right thing to do. You are indirectly teaching them another lesson in humility and walking in integrity. I've realized my wrong. I am sorry. This is how to progress. This is how to go, to behave going forward. That's how I would treat that. Okay. I think it's a good place to stop for today. You can, Oriofe, please go ahead and let's play the game. Like we said, if you get all the questions correctly, you get the t-shirt. If we have a tie, we would honor the tie and give to the 2 people or 3 people. So we have a t-shirt at stake. Let's go play the game.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bola, for that excellent presentation. Everybody, please, we're playing a Kahoots game. Please make me co-host so I can share my screen. We're playing a Kahoots game. If you can go to kahoot.it, I'm going to post the link here. You can go to it on your phone or on your wherever you're on Zoom. Hold on one second. Alrighty, I have just put the link. So it's a fun game. Like we said earlier, we're giving out a VIP t-shirt. Before I share my screen for the game, Miss Tenny, would you just, or Miss Bola, one of you, share the screenshot showing the VIP t-shirt? So actually, this link will take you directly to the game. Once we see the t-shirt, I'll switch over to share my screen so you can see the game and see the code. The questions will pop up. It's from the discussions of today. You answer the questions, you read the questions on the Zoom screen, and then you'll answer the question on your phone. You'll coordinate the color, and we'll all see who the winner is. So just enter your name when you log in. That's the t-shirt. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Thank you. I see we already have players in. So we can see our game pin, right? It's 3655703. If you click on the link, it'll take you right there. Okay, thank you. So let me see, how many are we on Zoom? We are Can someone please tell me? How many are we here? If about 70% of us join, I'll be satisfied.
43.
43. So I'm looking for right around like, does anybody have any issues joining? Is it straightforward? The link I sent should take you here directly.
Maybe you explain the process again.
Any questions with the process?
Oriofe, maybe just explain the process all over again.
Okay, I've put a link in the chat. You can click on that link and it'll take you directly to the game page. Or you can go to kahoot.it and enter the game pin, which is showed on the board.
Game pin is 3655703.
And then once you enter, please put your name in. We'll play a game, just a quick, fun, easy game, going over questions we did. 7 easy questions, about 20 seconds per question. So it's really quick. And the winner, thank you. I see everybody joining now. Excellent, excellent. So we're gonna wait for about 30 more seconds and I'm gonna start the game.
And before you start, if you win the game, before you drop off the call, please message me directly or message Oriofe directly with your name and your email, and then we'll reach out to you to get your address so that we're sure the person who wins is the person reaching out to us. You have to do it before you drop off. So we, match it with your name that we are seeing here in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, you can even just also message your address directly so we can, right?
Yes.
So it's just one and done. Okay, so do we have more participants? Okay, gonna kind of wait till we have at least 20 people.
For some reason, I'm not able to, I don't see the start option on mine. I just see the lollipop and that's it.
Yeah, no, yeah, because you're saying what you're saying is correct.
Okay. I thought we were supposed to play a game, right?
We are. I was just waiting for more people to join because the number of people on Kahoot is not correlating closely to the number of people on the Zoom. Is something going on? The numbers are dropping even.
Okay, maybe you should go ahead and start. People are leaving.
Okay, that's what's happening. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and start. Anybody trying to join? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start. Come on, we have 4 seconds to answer. Okay. Excellent. So which of these is not a building block for intentional parenting? Quick fixing. We want it instead to be the planned, purposeful, sorry, not quick fixing. The correct answer is coasting along. We don't want to coast along. Coasting along means you're just kind of going with the flow. We want it to be more intentional. Thank you. Let's see who is on the leading board. So S, you're currently winning. There's room for everyone.
I'm so sorry that I'm having, because I had to log out and I lost the link. What's the pen, please?
Oh, 3655703. 3655703. Whoa. So life skills like cooking, doing laundry, applying oneself in school, those typically are more correlated with competency. Most of us answered character. So Ms. Bola, do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between these and character?
Yes, character is about your values. Like character, like they say, habits form character, but habits are based on what do you value, you know? So if I say this person is a person of character, and I would be looking at integrity, honesty, kindness, compassion, being, you know, so those will be character traits. But competency are skills, things you can do, you know, with your hands, talent, skills, that's competency, you know.
Okay, thank you. Next question. So let's see. Oh, Miss Yetzi is up. Thank you. All right, next question. This is a true or false question. To parent effectively, do we strictly rely on older friends who already are raising their children?
It's confusing, no?
I know, it's a bit intentional. Whoa, excellent. We all got this one correct. Yes, they're good resource to, you know, check in with every now and again. But Ms. Bola was very, very clear. Use their template and customize it for your children. Whoa, Miss Yetzi stayed on top. Let's keep it moving. We're halfway done. Which of these is not an effect of good communication? Three, two, one. Excellent. So the question, having open channels, being understanding and active listening between parents and children, those are all effects of good communication. We don't want to blame unnecessarily or even at all. Okay, we have a streak. That's amazing. Is she gonna keep the crown or is someone else gonna take it? Next question. True or false? Great. So this is true. If you tie love strictly to a child's performance, then the child is going to learn that, okay, if I really want to feel love, then I have to do this to catch mom or dad's attention. So you want to be able to love them through, you know, their good and bad times, not necessarily just when they're being good. And she mentioned approval addict earlier, but I just wanted to add as well, it was in her notes. I don't know if I remember her saying this. So these are people who end up growing to like need approval from teachers, from friends and all of that. So it really affects their self-esteem and confidence. We're going to our, okay, Miss Yeti with the streak. That's amazing. We are now going on to the 6th question. Okay. So 5 seconds left. Excellent. Yes, we kind of went over this earlier. Okay, and now on to the last question. Whoa, Miss Yeti, if you really want that share, you got to watch out for the person coming at second because it's close now. Let's see. Are you able to hold on or not? Final question, true or false? When you're wrong, you cover it up by buying your child's most wanted item. Ooh, let's see. Let's see who. In third place, we have Miss Kemi. Thank you. Second place, Miss Omisana. Whoa, and first place, we have Miss Yeti. Thank you all so much for playing. Miss Yeti, please DM either Miss Bola or myself with your name and
Go Yeti. Go Yeti.
with your name and address to claim your VIP Very Involved Parent t-shirt. Thank you all.
Thank you all for playing the game, and congratulations to Miss Yeti for winning that beautiful t-shirt. I tell you, that t-shirt is in colors, so don't mind that picture that you saw. I pray that, I wish, I hope that when you get it, you will wear it at our next event and, show off the t-shirt. We'll do more of this. At our next event, we'll have other fantastic prizes for you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you spending your Saturday afternoon with us. We really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you for joining, everybody. We really appreciate you. I just put something in the chat. If you're not sure if we have your email address or your number, and you would like to be on our mailing list to receive other, resources to help you, please text Join PRI to that number. It's Join PRI. Text Join PRI to 245-24251. Again, I'm going to put it on the chat. Again, it's text Join PRI to 24251. We will share resources, community resources, parenting resources, resources for teenagers and youth, and we will keep you informed about all our events. So our next webinar holds on Saturday, April 23rd. And we look forward to seeing you there. We will send more details as we go on. Please join us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, email, and all our events are recorded and uploaded on YouTube. Please join us, click like, subscribe, comment, let people help us to make this, let people be more aware of what we do and the help that they can get, just sharing resources with one another, being in a community like this, And again, we want to thank you. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.